Hello, friends. You've stumbled across a short clip from the Daily Switch 2 podcast, which, believe it or not, is a podcast that is about the Switch 2 with new episodes released daily. What will they think of next? As you might be able to tell, I'm not a big expert on Pokemon, although I have spent hundreds of hours playing Pokemon games and I do, own a lot of Pokemon merch and plushies and things. Basically, my history with Pokemon is I really got into the first gen Pokemon, as I think everybody at the time did. But fully. I had Pokemon Blue and I 100%ed it just completely filled the Pokédex and trained every Pokemon up to the top level, etc. And, traded to get the full Pokédex. And I was just obsessed with it. And I had Pokemon Stadium for the N64, and I played Pokemon Blue through the transfer pack on the TV, because I just thought it was so neat that my Pokemon could then be on TV in 3D. And that's how I played in my bedroom. And then I had a DMG Game Boy to carry around while I was waiting for buses and things to train up my Pokemon. So I was like full on obsessed. And at that time, it was maybe going a bit personal here, but it was at a time when my parents were divorcing, and my mum had moved out, and I was still in the house with my dad, and evidently my mum felt, really guilty about what was happening. And so she said to me, like, what do you want for Christmas? And in my head, I was thinking, oh, well, I know that mum doesn't have very much money at the moment because she's living separately and things are awkward right now. And I thought, what can I say that's cheap and it's going to be easy for her to find? And at the time I was really into Pokemon, so I was just like, if you can find like a Pikachu plushie, like a cuddly Pikachu, that would be cool. But don't worry, you don't have to get me anything, And she did get me a Pikachu. And she told me years later that because Pokemon was so popular at the time, unbeknownst to me, that was actually what I thought was going to be a really cheap and really easy thing to get was actually super difficult. And she traveled around going to like every single shop and traveled hundreds of miles trying to find a Pikachu, especially for me, because she'd got it into her head that, I feel so guilty about this situation, and Sam's going to be really sad. And this is the one thing that he's asked for to cheer him up, so I've got to make sure that I can find this Pikachu. And so she went on a real mission trying to find this Pikachu, and probably cost herself a lot of money and a lot of heartache and many hours. And I felt really guilty afterwards when I found that out, because I was like, I said that because I thought it would be an easy thing for you to find. Sorry. I love that Pikachu. I don't have it anymore, but that's because my own kids became big Pokemon fans later on, and so he got passed down as an inheritance. So he's still part of the family. But as I said, I completely 100%ed my Pokédex, and just played it to death. Pokemon Stadium 1 I absolutely loved as well as a party game. Is like often people came around to the house. Like, I was a teenager at the time, so people come around for a few beers or whatever. Some great times playing the multiplayer games, the party games on Pokemon Stadium. They were absolutely hilarious. And we got a very confused parent come around once because somebody brought their little sister, and then the little sister went home and said that they'd been playing the Licky Tongue game with the boys, and the parent was very confused, and then came back and saw that actually, it was that was a Pokemon Stadium thing, not something inappropriate. So that was pretty funny, and I always think about that whenever I hear Licky Tongue. I think, that was a funny moment of us having to diffuse the situation with the confused and concerned parent. But yeah, after becoming so obsessed with Pokemon Blue and Red, evidently, I kind of got burnt out. And even by the time Pokemon Yellow existed, I was like, yeah, that's cool and all. And by that point, I'd bought a Game Boy Color, and I was like, yeah, but I don't feel like playing it again just to get the color features and have a Pikachu following me around. It's cool that it's like the anime, but I don't know. I'm kind of burnt out on Pokemon now because I played it so much to 100% that Pokédex. But then I told this story in my WWE review, but I don't know which is going to go up first, my WWE review or this. So I'll just briefly mention it again. I was dating a girl, and trying to impress her. Trying to become, almost like part of the family. I used to go around her house all the time, had dinner with her parents, that kind of thing. And she had a younger brother, and I was trying to make friends with the younger brother to kind of, I'm part of the family, And it didn't really work, by the way, as I said in my WWE review. But I did ingratiate myself with the younger brother quite well by regularly buying him whatever the latest video games were that he wanted. And he was a big fan of Pokemon, and I imported Pokemon Gold and Silver from the States before they were released in Europe, so that he could be the talk of the playground by having Pokemon Gold before any of his classmates did. And so I gave him Gold and I kept Silver, and then we could play together and trade together. So even though I'd originally not planned on getting back into Pokemon, I did also basically 100% the Pokedex in Silver as well. I don't think in fact, I'm sure I didn't train them all up as fully as I had in Blue, but I did fill the Pokedex. And I got Stadium 2 as well, for similar reasons, because I wanted the minigames, and B, I wanted to battle my Pokemon through the transfer pack. That was to me, that was a pretty cool feature at the time, and I've still got very fond memories of those games. Now, after that, I kind of fell off on Pokemon. The Game Boy Advance games were good, but to me, they didn't advance the formula very much. I was like, this is kind of just more of the same, but with slightly prettier graphics. And in my head, I was like really hoping for, okay, soon we're going to get a 3D Pokemon RPG. And then when the DS games came out, I was slightly disappointed that they weren't, quite the evolution, for want of a better word, that I wanted as well. However, by that point, I had kids, and I thought that my kids would really get into Pokemon. So I bought them Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and the Pokewalker, what do you call them? The pedometer that counts your steps and everything. I thought that would be a really good thing to encourage them to be more mobile. And also got them the what were they called? Pokemon, the spin-off games that had one on the DS and one on the Mystery Dungeon. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, that's the one. That had one on the Game Boy Advance and one on the DS. I got them those as well, and I actually played those a little bit myself as well. I thought they were really cool. And then my kids were really into Black and White and what was it, Ruby and Pearl. They got really into those as well. So again, I kind of watched from afar, and I didn't really play. But I bought the games for them and watched them, and they watched the anime, and I would sometimes watch the anime and the movies and stuff along with them. So I stayed aware of what was going on in Pokemon, even if I didn't play the games fully all the way through. But then I got back into Pokemon with the 3DS. I bought again, my kids were really into the 3DS. I was more of a PSP guy at the time, but my kids both had 3DSs. I bought them, and then when the Super Nintendo themed 3DS XL, or was it new 3DS XL? Anyway, when the one that looked like a Super Nintendo came out, I was like, oh, this is sick. I love this. Okay, I'm going to have to get this. And it just happened to coincide with when our whole family was going to be going on a big trip to America with a very long flight to get there. So I used that as an excuse to buy myself that fancy 3DS, and also a 3DS for my partner at the time. And then bought us all copies of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon so that we could all play together, and played that on the trip. And that was really cool, and I really enjoyed getting back into that, because for me, stepping away from Pokemon, because I was like, okay, the games haven't progressed that much, and I want them to be in 3D, and I want them, really what I wanted was a home console Pokemon game, which, again, and I mentioned earlier, Pokemon Colosseum and Gale of Darkness XD on the GameCube. That was kind of what those were, but not really. They were good, but they weren't exactly what I wanted. I did play them a little bit, but I was really hoping for like a proper fully 3D Pokemon game, fully 3D traditional Pokemon game. But I did really enjoy jumping into Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, because, again, for me, having not seriously played a Pokemon game since Silver and Gold, it did feel like a big leap forward, and I had a lot of fun with that. And then on the Switch One, I played what was it? Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, and I enjoyed that one a lot, actually. Obviously it was kind of simplified and almost like a kind of children's first Pokemon game, I suppose, but I really enjoyed it. I liked the way it went, and it was almost like a kind of 3D traditional Pokemon adventure, kind of like a remake of the original games. Also, Pokemon Snap. Yeah, Pokemon Snap on the N64 was great. I never had it, but my cousins had it, and I played it at their house, and I loved it. And then the new Pokemon Snap on Switch, that was great. I really liked that. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl I didn't bother with. I heard people saying they weren't that great. The reviews weren't wonderful. And I was waiting for a proper new generation, and we'll get onto that in a moment. But Legends Arceus, as I mentioned earlier, I really liked Legends Arceus. I thought that showed a lot of potential. It was more kind of open world, or it had open worldish areas, and I liked the kind of more modern and streamlined battle system. I thought that was really good, and I thought, oh, maybe that's how things should be. So then, obviously on Switch One, we had Pokemon Sword and Shield, which were like the first proper mainlined duality games that were on the a proper home console, if you can call the Switch a home console rather than a portable one, which is what Nintendo wants you to do. They were good, but at the time I was busy, and I didn't get a chance to play them as much as I wanted to. But I saw potential in them, and I was really looking forward to Scarlet and Violet. During the previews of Scarlet and Violet, I was looking at the trailers going, oh my god, I love everything about this. I love the visual style, I love the areas, I love the more open worldishness. And I was super hyped, and also I had more free time at the time. I was like, okay, this is going to be the Pokemon game that I play properly. And then we had so many performance problems on the Switch One that I found them practically unplayable, unfortunately. I don't mean to be negative, but yeah, they were just really bad. And everybody was saying, well, no, they weren't. They weren't bad games. They were just, the performance was really bad. And everybody was saying, oh, there'll be a patch, there'll be a performance patch. And so far there hasn't been. There's been updates, yes, but the updates haven't fixed the performance. But the Switch 2 is basically your performance patch. If you've paid $500 to get a Switch 2, then you can finally play Scarlet and Violet with a nice frame rate, and it's actually a pleasant experience. So while I haven't had as much time as I'd like to play them properly, I do intend on doing that at some point, because I was really hyped for those games before they came out, and then disappointed at the performance. So now there's no excuse. I should play them through properly. I'm sure there's more to say about my history with Pokemon. It might sound like I'm not a big Pokemon fan, but honestly, where I'm sat here, even if I just look around, I can see multiple bits of Pokemon merch, and so I mean, evidently I am, but just very specific things. Maybe it's more of a nostalgic brand, but it's something that every now and again I get into, and I go, right, this is going to be the Pokemon game that I play properly, and I dedicate a lot of time to it, And actually, just yesterday, I was looking at a full Pokédex book in French, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I should buy that. That's really cool. I didn't buy it, but I'm strongly thinking about going back and getting it because it's been playing on my mind ever since. Because I think that's really neat. And at the moment, I'm collecting French BD, as they call them. Like comic books, graphic novels, etc. So yeah, I think we're getting ready to start the direct presentation. So I'm going to stop waffling, and hopefully I can edit this down to be slightly less painful to listen to. Well, that was funny / sad / informative / stupid, wasn't it? Feel free to mentally redact to make that make sense with the clip that you just heard. I don't know what it was. I'm just recording a bumper. But if you enjoyed the clip, please give it a like. If you'd like to hear more, click subscribe, and you can find all the ways to listen to and support the full daily podcast at linktree/dailyswitch2. That's linktr.ee/dailyswitch2. Let's go! Did I sound like I mean that? I do. I really do.